Greetings, our Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 2696, and this is Memorial Day. It's a little flag that I've had for quite a long time, to be honest with you, and I usually have it up on a wall there. I just wanted to make a special an episode today about Memorial Day, what it means technically, what it means to me, what I think it should mean to all of us as Christians. So I'm going to put this over here, and then we will continue on with today's episode. So we're going to get a little history here at first. Memorial Day originated as Decoration Day in 1868 to honor Union soldiers who died in the Civil War, and has since evolved into a national day of remembrance for all U.S. military personnel who died in service. So we look at its origins and how it was observed early on. Memorial Day was originally called, like I said, Decoration Day, and was first nationally observed on May 30th, 1868, when Major General John A. Logan, leader of the Grand Army of the Republic, proclaimed it to honor Union soldiers who died in the Civil War. The date was chosen because flowers would be in bloom across the country. The first large observance took place at Arlington National Cemetery, where officials, including General and Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant, presided over ceremonies, and children and veterans decorated graves with flowers. Locals I can't even pronounce the word. Commemorations had already been held in various towns with some of the earliest known events organized by women in Columbus, Georgia, and other southern cities in 1866. Evolution of the holiday initially focused on Civil War soldiers. Decoration Day gradually expanded to honor all Americans who died in military service. By 1890, every Union state had officially adopted the holiday. After World War I, the observance included veterans of all U.S. wars, and the name was officially changed to Memorial Day. In 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, moving the observance to the last Monday in May to create a 3-day weekend, and in 1971, it became a federal holiday. Now, there are some traditions in modern, excuse me, excuse me out here. There are traditions in modern observances. Memorial Day is marked by visiting cemeteries and memorials, placing flags and flowers on graves, and participating in graves and ceremonies. The Tomb of the Unknowns says unknowns, but it actually is referring to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery, is a central site for wreath laying ceremonies. Let me just pause there. This is not so much an opinion, so I'm going to stick it in here because as I had the honor of going to Washington, D.C. as part of the honors that they allow us to have, taking veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the different memorials and so forth. And I had the privilege of being there at the cemetery of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Very impressive. And it's very meaningful. Back to the article, though. The holiday also unofficially signals the start of summer in the United States. In 2000, the National Moment of Remembrance Act encouraged Americans to pause at 3 p.m. local time for a minute of silence to honor fallen service members. distinction from other military holidays. It's sort of a mini uh, headline here. Memorial Day specifically honors those who died in military service, whereas Veterans Day, November 11th, honors all who have served, and Armed Forces Day, earlier in May, recognizes those currently serving. This distinction underscores Memorial Day's focus on sacrifice and remembrance. Memorial Day has thus evolved from a post-Civil War tribute into a nationwide observance that commemorates the courage and sacrifice of all U.S. military personnel who gave their lives in service to the nation. And I'm going to give an opinion here in a moment, but just to reevaluate this a little bit, refresh this. Let's do it this way. There, that's much better. I'm going to talk about the flag in a moment. When people go into the military, such as I did, they go in for a variety of reasons. Some of them sentenced to the military by judges as a way to turn around their lives. But the military is not just an armed force. It is an armed force that represents and protects its country, in this case, the United States of America. And this is a very important thing, a very important fact. When you're thinking of the military, it is true, you will find some bad apples in there. But as a whole, our military has represented this country very, very well. And so, and some have paid the ultimate price. We'll get into that in a minute. But the thing is this, that having a national day of remembrance, I'm not particularly in favor of it being on Monday. That was not made to make it easier to celebrate the holiday. That was designed to make it easier to have a 3-day weekend. They're not fooling anybody, except themselves maybe. But it is important, and I'm glad that we do it. So I'm going to go finish up with here and give you my my opinion on this whole thing. But I just wanted to make that little statement there. So being a veteran myself, I value all who have served and died for our country. To those who would trash our flag, which I just showed you, and to those who say the flag isn't sacred, I say the death of even one soldier says otherwise. They died. And did they die in defense of that flag? Of course they did. To say otherwise is just plain outright foolishness. That flag has gone in Iwo Jima. They even have a statue, and you've seen the pictures of, I think it's 3 soldiers, but there was more involved. And that was a recreation of and so they could do that statue. But I think there's an actual photograph of the actual raising of a flag, and it was dangerous even there. They were doing it, but I think they were still doing it while under fire. The thing is this, that flag has said so much. I don't really have anything on it in my opinion here. Well, my mind just went back to the War of 1812. And the author of the Star-Spangled Banner was on a ship, a British ship. He was a captive, watching as the fort that they were bombarding was, it was just being torn apart. But the flag still was raised up there. And he saw that flag. And it was either the captain of the ship or the admiral of the British fleet was rather proud of what his forces were doing. And he said, but tomorrow this is all going to be over with. But when morning came and he looked out there, well, not just the author of the song, but the all the British troops saw it. Any prisoners on the ships saw it. They looked out, and there, uh, still smoke rising around them, maybe some clouds and so forth, but they could still see the American flag standing. And that is an amazing thing, just if you to read the story about it. But but what it really talks about is that what you don't see, you see the flag, but what you don't see is the sacrifice that it took to keep that flag up. I mean, those British bombs were falling all over the place, but and so people died keeping that flag up. Why? Because it symbolized our country. As long as they saw that flag flying, they were willing to lay their life down, and many did. So, yes, even it is a sacred flag. I don't care what the Supreme Court said. I don't care what other politicians say. I don't care what anybody has said otherwise. The flag, this little flag here, is worthy of our sacrifices. No, I did not die. I survived the service. But the fact of the matter is, that was an inspiration to me then. I wasn't even a Christian yet, but I knew the value, and I proudly saluted that flag and served that flag. Now, whether willingly or not, men and women have served this country in war and in peace, and some have died, paying the ultimate price. That should not be glossed over. It is a debt, folks. It is a debt this country owes. One of the biggest disgraces that we currently have in this country is the treatment of homeless veterans. No veteran should be homeless. I'm sorry. I'm not going to back down on that one. They may have gotten themselves into trouble and all sorts of things, but the fact is, if they serve this country, then we owe a debt to them. And so there's many of them are homeless, not because of anything they did, but because of injuries and both physical and mental that they suffered serving this country. So we owe them a debt. But Memorial Day means more than that to Christians. I got saved in 1973, so I missed a lot of wars there, but and I was too old to serve in other wars. But I had served in the Vietnam War. But that was again before I became a Christian. But for Christians, it is also a time to remember all those who have died furthering the cause of Christ. Some were persecuted and slain simply because they believed in him, or perhaps they owned a Bible and it was discovered. Here in America, we have seen the rise of anti-Christian behavior. In some states, there are religious groups outside of Christianity that have taken over communities and turned them into basically anti-Christian environments. And in some countries, believers have been beheaded, slain for their Christian faith. So this is not something that's just historical. This is ongoing. Therefore, we as Christians should also remember all who have died. Some for our country. Many millions have died for our country, but far more have died for our Christian heritage. So as you go about this day, I hope you have a good time. Maybe you'll go to the beach if you have one. Go to the beach and celebrate. Maybe you'll attend a party, a family reunion. There's all sorts of activities. Maybe you go watch a parade or even participate in a parade. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. And I hope and pray you have a good and safe holiday. But while you're doing that, remember the reason for the holiday. First of all, it commemorates all those who have died, saved and unsaved, all those who have died on behalf of our country. We owe them a debt. But if you're a Christian, and if you're watching this, there's a good possibility you are, not that watching this makes you a Christian, but this probably appeals more to Christians than it does non-Christians. But the thing is that we as Christians need to remember those who have gone before us and paid the ultimate price for their faith, for our faith. It's and sometimes it's kind of hard to separate the two because there are many people who have died as Christians serving in the military, and they died in behalf of their country. But if you're a Christian and you're dying for because of being in a war or even not in war, but because you're in the service, you are also serving the Lord while you were there. And so that you are also then dying on behalf of the gospel. You can quibble about that with me if you want, but that's where I stand. The thing is this, we need to remember that. We need to be faithful to our Lord. Because after all, folks, here's the key. Jesus Christ was the first to die for the Christian faith. Now you say, oh, no. John the Baptist died. John the Baptist is, although he appears in the New Testament, is actually an Old Testament prophet. So he died preaching, if you want to call it the gospel of the coming Redeemer, who he pointed out. Others have died for their faith, Old Testament faith. But the Christian church was founded by Jesus Christ, and he is the foundation of the Christian church, not some man or any other person, but he, Jesus Christ, is that foundation. And he died, laying his blood on the line so that you and I could have everlasting life. So it starts with him. But everybody who has died since then, the apostles and disciples, down through the centuries, people have died. Some have been known intense persecution because of their faith. And so that is something that we owe them a very deep thank you, a debt. Our greatest debt is to Jesus, but we also owe a debt for those who took that gospel and spread it around the world, often suffering persecution and death because of it. Well, that's it for today. If you disagree, feel free to. You feel free to leave a comment. I'll read them, and I will most certainly, if I find it interesting enough, it may show up right here in my office on this video, this podcast. So I try to do three things. I try to inform you. I start here. I try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. Hopefully, I've done all three. But if I do just one, that's great too. I also want to take this time to remind you that T&R Independent Books is a Christian indie publisher, which means that we are interested in, if you want to be a writer, an author, we are interested in you. If you want to learn how to write, we will teach you. If you want to learn, you want to be a published author, we are looking for authors we can publish. Simply go to trbookservices.com, go to the writings department, and right there you will have the opportunity to look at and choose what service you think will best benefit you. Then you make an application, comes to me, I look at it, I either approve or disapprove. You'll hear from me either way. But if I approve, then you also will get a little surprise in the package. We call it a coupon, I'm not going to tell you what it's worth because that could change from now to it can change from day to day. But what it is that the price that you pay will be considerably less than the price that it's worth, or even the price that it's currently retailed at. So you just have a great day and go check us out. In the meantime, you have a great Memorial Day celebration. Go to the beach, celebrate with your family, do whatever you plan, but don't forget those who paid the ultimate price, both for this country and for your soul. You have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.